I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Do you want to tap into the Christmas joy spirit that's within you and live a joyful life and sing joy to the world? Today I'm going to give you some holiday decorations that you can hang on your Christmas consciousness that will have you singing joy to the world. I often like to start with a joke or two, so raise your hand if you know the answers to these questions. What's the difference between the Christmas alphabet and the ordinary alphabet? Well, the Christmas alphabet has no L. Did you know that? And what does a cat on the beach have in common with Christmas? I'll give you a hint. Sandy Claus. What do you do if Santa, or what do you get if Santa goes down the chimney when the fire is lit? Krispy Kringle. What's green and covered with tinsel and goes ribbit, ribbit? Mistletoe. And why do reindeer scratch themselves? Well, because they're the only ones who know where they itch. And lastly, what do you get if you eat Christmas decorations? Tinselitis. Once upon a time, the Buddha was walking along the riverbank, and he came across a young man sitting and smiling and gazing at the river. And the Buddha says to him, "What are you thinking of, young man?" And the young man says, "I am thinking of a wonderful life." And the Buddha says, "Well then, what makes a wonderful life?" The young man says, "One day I will have a lot of money and riches, and I will have the most beautiful woman in the world. Then I will get a dog, and I will walk along the riverside, and then I will sit down and enjoy the scenery. That will be a wonderful life." And the Buddha says, "Haven't you got that already?" Many times we spend our lives waiting for events and people and situations to make us happy. However, real joy is entirely independent from what happens out here, or from what happens to us on the outside. The truth is, no person or event has the ability to make us truly joyful. To understand how we can experience Christmas joy, which is what this talk is about today, we need to understand the difference between happiness and joy. Now, the way I see it, happiness comes from things that are outside of us, from events and people and places that encourage us to be happy. And joy, on the other hand, is an internal experience. It happens when we are happy with who we are, why we are here, and what we are doing. We experience joy when we experience the fullness of life and we're not distracted by anything. I think that joy really comes by connecting with the essence of truth, the essence of that spirit within us. So I've got 4 practices to share with you today about how you can discover, and we can discover, our Christmas joy and experience a joy-filled life. So the first one is to be ourselves, to be yourself. Someone said, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken." I love that. So the presence of God within you, within me, within all of us desires to experience the fullness of life through us, to live and breathe and experience this lifetime by sharing the innermost gifts that we have, the absolute truth of our beingness. Isn't that what we're here for? Isn't that why you're here? Don't you know that on a deep level, that you are here to experience the potential of the presence within you? And we can tap into this source, to this live stream of joy through prayer and meditation, through self-examination, and by contemplation, and really paying attention to what lights us up, what turns us on, what allows us to really to feel that inner joy. What is that truth that is at the essence of who we are? You know, the truth for you, the joy for you might be in your wisdom. You know, perhaps you are a very wise person and you're able to overcome the challenges in your life by tapping into that wisdom. And perhaps you can even use that wisdom to encourage others. Or perhaps you have an incredible amount of love. And you have this love for yourself, and you're able to share this love with the world, with others, to be totally present. Or perhaps your gift is your compassion and your ability to just have empathy and to support others. And of course, to be loving and empathetic and compassionate towards yourself. You know, my birth parents were really funny people. They loved to laugh, they loved to joke around, and I have to say they loved to laugh at their own jokes. You might wonder where I get that from, and I know I get that from them because they were hilarious. I can remember when the Girl Scouts would come around selling their Girl Scout cookies. I can remember an occasion where my dad put a stocking over his head, right, and some kind of crazy hat, and answered the door, you know, not to scare them, but to make them laugh. And of course, his laugh that he shared with them had them laughing as well. And of course, he always bought their cookies. And I see humor, the humor that I have, that I've used in ministry and in teaching, and even in difficult situations, as being a healing balm that's kind of a natural gift for me that I've been able to share in my life. And of course, there have been times when I have been criticized for my sense of humor. Not everybody can enjoy it at the same level that I have. And it's given me the opportunity to evaluate how I'm using my humor. And what I realize is that sometimes society doesn't encourage us to use our gifts. Have you ever noticed? And I wonder for you, has there ever been a time when someone said something or did something that kind of stopped you from being the truth of who you are? Stopped you from being that compassionate person or that loving person or that wise person? And so what I'm hoping that you can capture today is to get in touch with that gift and to sort of bring fuel to this essence within you so that you bring out and you live and breathe and be the truth of who you are. You know, I think it's so important right now for us to smile a lot, even though we're stuck having to wear these masks around, right? I know there's been a couple of moments for me where I've been someplace and I smiled at someone. They couldn't see my smile, but they could see my eyes. And I really think that's a gift that we can bring right now to our world, is just to smile and to be present for those around you. You know, I've always thought that smiling increases our face value. And I think that is my gift, and I hope that for you too. Sharing your gifts is really about bringing value and joy to other people's lives. I am at peace with who I am, and I bring joy to the world. And I encourage you to share your gifts and to bring joy to the world this season. The second practice that I'd like to share with you to bring joy to the world is to practice non-resistance and acceptance, or to really be able to accept what is. And I've got a fun story that I think typifies this, and perhaps you've heard it before. It's about a Zen master who lived in Japan, and he was held in high regard. He was a very wise man, and people came to him for advice from all over. And it just so happened that the teenage daughter of his neighbor became pregnant. And when questioned by her parents, she told them that the Zen master was the father of her child. So in great anger, the parents of this young girl raced over to the Zen master's house and told him with shouting and accusing that their daughter had said that he was the father of her child. And his response to that was to say, "Is that so?" And the news of this scandal spread throughout the village and the country, and the master's reputation was affected. However, this did not trouble him. He remained unmoved. Sometime later, when the child was born, the parents of the baby came to him and handed him the child and said, "Here, you take care of him. He is your child." A year later, the mother remorsefully confessed to her parents that her real father of the child was the young man who worked at the butcher shop. In great distress, they went to see the Zen master to apologize and to ask for forgiveness. They said, "We are really sorry. We've come to take the baby back. Our daughter confessed that you are not the father." "Is that so?" said the Zen master. And he handed the baby to them. You know, I love that this Zen master responds to falsehood and to truth the same way, with not being engaged or not out of judgment, but just being present to what is. The response of the Zen master was, "Is that so?" And he shows how the good that can come out of non-resistance. You know, I know that this isn't a very realistic story, but I think it gets this age-old message and this timeless message across that we can accept what is without responding out of anger. And it makes me think about today. You know, how can we deal with the fact of this pandemic? And can we accept what's happening right now and be present to what is? How can we accept the fact that our bodies are aging? Have you noticed? And can we be totally present and love ourselves and love our bodies in spite of that? Can we also accept other people's opinions without getting defensive or judgmental? Can we accept the difficulties in life? Can we accept the hurt and the suffering without becoming overwhelmed or helpless or in despair? Acceptance means to acknowledge what is present in this moment and to be totally present for what it is. You know, it's important to note that just because we can accept or acknowledge something doesn't mean that we have to totally agree with it. We're simply acknowledging what is present right now. So we can be right here in this moment, wherever that is, and be present to what is. I am at peace with who I am, and I bring joy to the world. The third practice that we can bring to our Christmas joy and to the joy of the world is to let go of attachments to who we think we are. You know, I think we all kind of have this image of who we are, how we should be. And I think we can let go of that image. Just this week, someone came to me who was having some difficulty in his relationship, and he wanted some support from me. And as he started to tell his story to me, I noticed that I got a little afraid. I started to think, what am I going to say? What possible wisdom can I share with him that's going to support him in this difficult time that he's having? And then I got the thought that, here I am, a minister, and shouldn't I have some kind of elevated advice for this person who's come to me for support? And all of that happened in just a second. In the blink of an eye, those things all went through my mind. And then I realized that I can let go of all of that, all of the titles and the thinking of who I am, and just be present to what is. And I thought it was so magnificent that just being able to be present in the moment with this person, I was able to tap into the truth within me to give some encouragement and advice to my friend. And what a lesson for us, I believed, if we can let go of who we think we are and the expectations that we have for ourselves, so that we can just be present right here and right now. And the fourth practice that we can use to bring Christmas joy to ourselves and to the world is to remember that we can change our attitude at any time. You might remember that Viktor Frankl was a Jew who was imprisoned during World War I, and he was in a Nazi concentration camp. And in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl shares a revelation that he had standing outside of a shed with boards in it where prisoners slept. And it was a muddy, rainy day. And in the corner, next to the steps to this shed, there was a flower. And amidst all of the stomping around, the flower continued to grow. And Frankl thought, if I can just be like that flower in the midst of this situation, that I can still hold on to the truth of who I am, that I can still hold on to my beauty and my independence and my heart in the midst of all of this. He wrote, everything can be taken away from a man, but one thing: to choose one's attitude in any given sort of set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. He, of course, experienced extraordinary circumstances, and hopefully none of us will experience as extreme circumstances in our lives. But what we can realize, that we can tap into this Christmas joy, this birth of that Christ presence that brings us joy in any moment, when we can shift our thinking, when we can shift what we are believing and be present in the moment, to look for something to hang on to when in difficult and challenging times. The birth of Christmas joy is the birth in our consciousness of a joyful idea, and that helps us to remember the essence and the light that we are, to remember that the Christ presence, the spiritual essence of us, is the presence of God and light and truth, and that we are perfect expressions of this light. So our affirmation today, you might remember it, I've said it a couple times, is I am at peace with who I am, and I bring joy to the world. Say that with me. I am at peace with who I am, and I bring joy to the world. And let's take a moment and join together in meditation. Breathing in, breathing out. Just being present right now. Being present to this joyful time, this joyful season. And perhaps you can think of something that brings you joy. Perhaps you can think of a way that you, a gift that you have that brings you joy, a truth, an ability, a power, a spirit-given light that you are to the world. And embrace and embody that for a moment. Imagine that you can turn up the warmth and the love around this idea. To remember how beautiful you are. To remember what an amazing gift that you have as your presence. A gift of spirit. And take a breath and breathe into that. And let this gift and the awareness of this gift move through your mind and your body so that you totally embrace who you are. And feel that. You are a unique gift to this world. You are here to bring love and light, to be the presence of peace and joy. And let's take just a few moments in the silence to be present to this gift. Breathing in, breathing out. I am at peace with who I am, and I bring joy to the world. And as you bring in your awareness and your attention to your breath, I invite you to bring your awareness back to this moment and to open your eyes whenever you're ready. Namaste. Let's see. So I invite you at this time to prepare your love offerings and your gifts to and your contributions to Unity Church of Maui, and to think about what this ministry means to you, and hopefully how these principles have brought joy to your life and meaning, and help for you to understand and see who you are. And so as you prepare your gift, I invite you to consider what you will give. And if it's a check, to hold it between your warm hands. And let's affirm and pray together our prayer for prosperity, which begins, through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Thank you for your gifts, and you can give to Unity Church of Maui in a couple different ways. You can go to our website at www.unityonmaui.org and click on the donate button, or you can write a check in the old-fashioned way and put it in an envelope addressed to Unity Church of Maui at 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And thank you for being a part of our ministry through your giving. We are so blessed. So it is. And let's see, I've got just a couple of announcements today. As you know, this coming Thursday is Christmas Eve, and we are offering 4 services on Christmas Eve. They're going to be at 4, 5:15, 6:30, and 7:45 in our High Street location. And for the safety of all of us, we're limiting our services to 10 people. Everybody will be asked to wear a mask the entire service. And you'll need to make reservations to come to this service. And I really ask that you make them by 8 o'clock on Tuesday, if possible, so that we can anticipate how many services we're going to have and how we're going to arrange all of that. And you can call Emily Goss at 808-268-8310 to make your reservations, and she'll go through, she'll talk with you some of the, about how we're going to make that work, and we're asking you to arrive on time. We will start on time and end on time so that we can move easily and gracefully through our lovely services together. And let's see, also my talk next week is titled, There Ain't No Future in the Past. And so we're going to look at, kind of how this last year has been for us, and what can we learn from it, and where can we go from here? How can we open our minds and our hearts up to a full and new experience of 2021? So that'll be happening just like this service next week at the same time. And we also are planning to do a Burning Bowl service on New Year's Eve at Unity Church of Maui, kind of the same thing as our Christmas Eve program. We'll have two services on Christmas Eve at 4 and at 5:15. And again, you'll need to make reservations for this service. Unfortunately, nobody that doesn't have reservations will be able to get in. We want to keep it safe. That's really our number one goal, and to have a service that also opens our heart and touches us and gives us a beautiful experience of both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And so same for this one. If you're interested in coming to our New Year's Eve service at 4 and 5:30, contact Emily at 808-268-8310 to make your reservations. And we're looking forward to being together in small groups and in a safe way. And also, how have you been complaining recently? I've certainly been aware of it myself, and I just realized I don't have my purple bracelet on. But we're starting this complaint-free world, a complaint-free Unity Church, starting on January 7th. We're going to be doing small Zoom groups. And so it's an amazing program. Emily and I have been doing it for like 2.5 weeks now or something. And it's amazing what is happening for us in the transformation that we're experiencing by really being with the possibility of living complaint-free lives. It's made us so much aware of being present in the moment and what we think and what we say. It's a marvelous program. We look forward to having you join us for that program. Again, call Emily for more information about that as well. And hope you enjoy our broadcast on Sunday morning. You'll find more just like this on our YouTube channel, as well as music. And you can also find the links to our Wednesday Daily Word and meditation. And we just keep things going on here at Unity Church of Maui. And I love you so much and appreciate your involvement in our ministry. And I think that's about all we have for today. So I just would like to say I love you and I appreciate you, and I behold the Christ in you. And why don't we pray together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. God bless you, my friend. Mahalo and aloha.
Where I live, there are rain.